my fellow readers, is I, Dark Symphony 777, with the second part of my Q&A. So I wanted to do this video last week, but I couldn't, mainly due to being busy last week, so I had to push it to this week. But I got some questions. You know, I finally got like 100 subscribers, so I promised you. I made a promise. Whenever I make a promise, I have to keep it to the best of my abilities. I am sorry for the video quality. I just recently got a new laptop, and when I download the program, the frame rate is kind of lower. So yeah, take that as you can. I'm gonna try and fix it as best as I can in future videos, but for the next couple of videos, the frame rate's gonna be a little lower. So, you know, just bear with me. So the first group of questions, I want to get the insane question out of the way first. Oh, this is just completely awkward. Like, I don't get this. I don't get this question. It's so weird. So let's get started with this question. Like, this question from Peter Ang. Okay, I'm trying not to laugh. That's why I'm taking pause, because this is just a weird one. Even him in the question said, "This is a stupid question." So the question is, what's your thought if there is a fanfic crossover that includes G.I. Joe, Transformers, Thundercats, He-Man, Silverhawks, Tiger Shark, Brave Star, Thundar, Dororo, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Made in Abyss, Happy Sugar Life, Cyber 6, My Hero Academia, Dick Tracy, what? Total Drama, Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt, Gravity Falls, Corpse Party, and The Secret of Kells, that revolve around the heroes from their world stopping their own villains from uniting the parts of Unicron. Now, I'm not actually familiar with like every single one of these properties. I know of Unicron, which I think Unicron is like the Transformer who's actually the planet. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's either Unicron or Omicron. I know they both exist. I just can't remember which one is the planet. I'm guessing Unicron. I'm guessing. So, okay, let's go through the properties that I know of one at a time. G.I. Joe. Okay. I know of G.I. Joe only from being a wrestling fan. For those of you who don't know, during the 80s when there was the G.I. Joe cartoon, there's one of the characters actually based off an actual wrestler, Sergeant Slaughter. He was like, you know, he was basically like a military man, like, Hurr! And I kind of liked Sergeant Slaughter, but everyone knows the top wrestler in the 80s was the Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah, snap it to a Slim Jim, dig it. Couldn't resist. Whenever talking about wrestling in the 80s, I gotta make a Randy Savage. Transformers. I kind of know Transformers. I watched the cartoons. I think I actually played with some of the toys when I was a kid, so I kind of know it. Thundercats. I only know Thundercats because of Thundercats. Oh, I don't know anything about the show other than that. He-Man. I don't know anything about He-Man. I just know He-Man was a thing. Silverhawks, never heard of it. Tiger Shark, never heard of it. Brave Star, never heard of it. Thundar, is that like a spin-off of Brave Star? Dororo, Billy and Mandy. So Mandy's working to make Unicron? Because I'm pretty sure Mandy's a villain. I'm pretty sure. Don't trust Mandy. Made in Abyss. I know that was a game, but I don't know anything about the game. Happy Sugar Life. Never heard of it. Cyber 6. Never heard of it. My Hero Academia. So what would be like All For One? I only know All For One because of a YouTuber named Double Artemis. I'm gonna come up with the most evil, inconsiderate plan of all time. You're gonna ban anime titties? I said evil, not insane. Oh, my mom while was looking at me, she's very sad. Let me grab it real quick. Let me grab it real quick. See, look at that. She's not proud of me. Don't shake your head. Don't shake your head. Yeah, you hide behind that laptop. No, stand up. Yeah, I know I'm crazy, but when you're stuck in quarantine for hours, you tend to go a little insane. I'm also probably a little insane myself. So I have no words. Okay, so back to this. Let's see. My Hero Academia. I'd probably be All for One, but then who would be? I don't know that much about. I don't know that much about Academia. I know it has a really really bad fan base, like Sonic the Hedgehog levels of bad fan base. And Sonic the Hedgehog is known as the poster boy of fan base. Bad fan base. Oh, that's kind of sad if I'm comparing My Hero Academia to Sonic the Hedgehog. In terms of the fans, that's bad. Dick Tracy. That has to be the most. That has to be the most out of nowhere show ever. It's like, out of all the things, you pick Dick Tracy. What's next? You're gonna add Johnny Quest or the Flintstones? Yeah, I went there. I don't know that much about Dick Tracy either. I don't know. It was like a very, very old radio drama, I think it was. Total Drama. Why? just why? Why Total Drama? At least Dick Tracy's a detective show, but Total Drama? Who's the villain? Chris McClane? Chef? Is he? Is he? Panty and Stocking. That's like the show. That's like the anime with the stripper angels, right? I think Panty and Stocking is the stripper angels. I think it is. I don't know. Gravity Falls. Oh, okay. Alright. You want to see the Mystery Shack? No. Corpse Party. You mean Corpse Bride? Is Corpse Party an actual thing? Like, thinking of Tim Burton. Like, is it actually Corpse Party, or did you meant to say Corpse Bride and you just messed up something? I don't know. Secret of Kells. I never heard of that. Well, to answer your question, Peter, first, I would jokingly ask, are you high? Are you on something? Are you on copious amounts of LSD, PSP, PCP, asbestos, angel dust, cocaine, Tide Pods, wood chippings, and foot powder? Are you on all that stuff at once? Suck it off. I would say, if you can make it work, you probably make it work. But good God, that is just a weird collection of stories. Like, granted, it's fan fiction. You're gonna see crazy shit like that all the dang time. Let's go back to page 1. So I got 7 questions from Lady Armister. She was actually the first one to comment on those and ask the questions. So first question from her is, have you written any fan fictions? If so, what? Do you see yourself more as a fan fiction reader than a writer? I've written one fan fiction, but I think it might still be up. It was a novelization of Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, but then I quickly realized I went way off the deep end simply because I underestimated how hard a novelization is to write. Like I said in previous videos, novelizations are very, very hard to write. And so, my first time actually writing, being a novelization, I was overstretching my skill to beyond levels. When I picture characters and scenarios. I more do it in my head. I don't really have anyone to talk about them because every time I try to talk to someone, they just tend to ignore me. You know, like I was very lonely in my childhood, so most of the time, I did that to cope and just have someone to talk to, or have fun, or to entertain myself. I don't want to talk about my childhood that much. But yes, I do see myself more as a reader than a writer. That's just I just prefer reading it than writing it because I love seeing the scenarios, the characters, how the world meshes and how everything behaves and stuff like that. So it becomes more entertaining. So I just simply find it reading more entertaining than actually writing it. Which, with writing I see more as very stressful. Like, I know I have actually met people who stopped writing because the stress just got them and burned out their passion and they just didn't want to write anymore. So it's understandable. Number 2, where do you see your channel going in terms of video quality, content, etc.? In terms of quality, Lady Armster is actually helping me out with that. She has suggested it. I'm actually going to, after a while, I'm actually going to stop doing the program I'm currently using to record this and stuff like that. I found out that A-Power Rec has like a stronger program and it has a one-time purchase for like $65. I'm actually going to get that in the future when I can. So I'm happy to say that soon when I'm able to, I'm going to get that program and start using that because hopefully that has better frame rate and stuff like that, and I can actually edit and progress and stuff like that. When it comes to content, I'm still going to do introspections, but I have to wait until I get the APowerSoft recording program. Hopefully they'll actually do have editing with it, stuff like that, so I can actually add stuff in and everything like that. I do want to do interviews with authors. I still haven't found the time to actually do an interview with Lady Armster. She's the person who I'm going to be doing an interview first with, and stuff like that. I'm also going to get like a new mic, a ring light. Ring light's going to be cheap, so I don't have to overspend for that. And other content, I do have something with content involving a friend of mine. She actually wants to do like a game. She actually wants to play a game or two with me. Under the condition, she advertises her stuff. So I'm like, okay. I already agreed that we have to play Donkey Kong. Me and her are gonna be playing Donkey Kong. I just have to have time to go to her house and hang out with her and start recording everything and stuff like that. So yeah, wait for Donkey Kong to come. Hopefully she still agrees to it because my friends really don't want to do videos with me. So, moving on. Question number 3. What is the main takeaway you want viewers to get from your channel or reviews? When it comes to the authors getting a takeaway from my channel, is I want people to appreciate my love for storytelling, my love for reading because of how I grew up and everything that happened. And I just want to show off my passion for the art of, telling a story, telling a layered, nuanced story, whether it be something simple like a boy meets girl, stuff happens, yada yada, or an epic on the scale of Lord of the Rings. The reason I chose fan fiction specifically is I wanted to do something different. I love fan fictions because you tend to get more creativity out of fan fiction than you do novels, outside of like one or two. But for the most part, literature actually has stagnated. Plus, other channels do literature reviews, so I wouldn't be contributing anything new. But I wanted to show my love for something that I genuinely love. Regardless of what anyone says or does, even if I have like no subscribers, I will still do it simply because, I just get to vent and I get to talk. And I just get to talk about what I love. So, just the fact I got 100 subscribers in the first place just shows that, people want to see me talk and just be myself and stuff like that. That's all I really need. As for the reviews, I want people to understand that, there are good fan fictions out there because a lot of authors and a lot of people who read, they only stick to like one or two fan bases. Like there is another YouTuber named Scribbler Productions. She mainly does like comic dubs of My Little Pony comics, or she does fan fiction related stuff, but it's always related to My Little Pony. If you actually noticed, sure, I have done My Little Pony fan fictions. I'm actually going to be recording another one after this, but I've done other genres and stuff like that, like Mega Man, American Mickey's Alice, Mario, Yu-Gi-Oh, Monster Musume, One Piece, lots of other stuff. So I want to show that there are many different types of characters and many different stories to tell, and also showcase that maybe these authors deserve more love and want to get looked at. Have viewers read stories because you review them? Actually, yes. I've actually gotten responses a couple times from people who said they're going to check out the story when it comes to that. Like some of the opposite, like some people actually just subscribe because they want to see their specific stories. I know it's a weird system because, like I said in answering the previous question, some people only really read or listen to stories that revolve more around fandoms that they prefer. But I just love want to read a good story, so I don't really have that sort of boundary restricting me. That's not to say that that they like, if they like their certain fandoms, then they're allowed to like them. What story are you most looking forward to reading this year? I would have said Nightfall by Lady Armister, but that would be kind of cheating because I'm actually helping her out with the story. Like, I'm dead serious. Go check out Nightfall by Lady Armister. Literally in the first chapter, the very first paragraph, she thanks me. The whole story was because of my review on Melancholia, and she's writing the story in honor of me reawakening her passion. And so ever since like a little bit into the story, I've actually been helping her beta read the story, adding some things here and there, and just generally helping out with the quality control and everything to make sure everything's as good as it can be. But if there's one story I'm actually looking forward to reading, it would actually have to be, what's the name of that story? It was a Mega Man, not a Mega Man story. I actually have the story in my, no, okay. Nope. Why is that there? Where is it? Oh yeah. Dynamic Equilibrium. It's written by the same person who wrote Fusion of Destinies 1 and 2. It is a Bones story combined with something called Valaria. It is really, really weird. I only read a couple chapters. The last time I read it, I only got a chance to read. I only got to like a little certain point to it, but then I stopped reading mainly because, sorry, I saw a bug. I wanted to kill it. Mainly because I wanted to talk about, everything just kept happening and I just completely forgot to read it. So I'm actually going to be giving it another read to talk about it. And I really loved what I read. It's just kind of confusing, just figuring everything out. Spoiler, that's literally my only complaint of that story. It's very confusing. So I can't wait to talk about that story. I do have a bunch of other fan fiction reviews that I want to read. I may be forced to actually stop taking suggestions for reviews again. I'm not sure because I have like 10 different stories that people want me to that I want to review, and some of them are stories that people want me to review. So there's that. Question number 6. Why don't you read incomplete fics? Most fan fictions are incomplete, but there are some really good ones that may not be finished ever, but are worth looking into. I'm pretty sure I know what story you're specifically wanting me to talk about when you wrote that question. So, me and Lady Armister are big fans of the Castlevania franchise. Her favorite game is Castlevania Lament of Innocence. My favorite game is Castlevania Order of Ecclesia, and we both have a soft spot for Symphony of the Night. There is a Castlevania fanfiction called Deluge by Mira Shalit, which takes place after the events of Order of Ecclesia. Both me and her really, really love the story. However, the author is on another extended hiatus. We don't know when she'll be back. Apparently, something in real life happened, and she has to stop the story. So, she will be doing a complete revamp of the story, plus adding the final chapter, which will be the epilogue. We really don't know when that will happen, if the story will even be re-uploaded or complete. So I don't know how we're gonna do this. The reason I don't really review incomplete stories is because I'm very neurotic. It really hurts me on the inside to see this really good story and stuff like that, and then it just stops abruptly, and it really hurts seeing all this passion and love and just seeing it unfinished, incomplete. And it just hurts. It just really hurts. Granted, if I had something like a co-host, like make like a little fun show of it, like we guess what might happen, like what we would like me and the co-host would guess what might happen. I think maybe I could do something like that. Deluge will probably be off limits. That's just it. I don't want to do. I just simply don't really want to read incomplete because I don't know what I would talk about really. Sure, I can do structure it the same way, but it wouldn't be the same. There's just something missing from doing an incomplete story. The only reason there are like two exceptions. There was Intervention, which I didn't even know was added more chapters, and also Dan versus Everything, which was one more of a specific episodic sort of story. And plus, I even let the author know, I said, this is the only time I'm going to be doing this. I'm not going to be doing this again. I'm only doing this just as a test. But if I can figure out a way how to do it properly without doing it, maybe, like I said, a co-host, like we can talk about the story, like we can both read the story until the end point, and then we could probably talk about what would be next. I could see an idea where we make a game, like me and the I'd make a game out of it, like we guess how the story is going to progress and stuff like that, and we think what we think of the story and the pieces going like that. I honestly think there's a lot of mileage in that, because a lot of fan fictions are incomplete. Until I figure out everything, I'm probably not going to touch incomplete stories ever, except for maybe Dan versus Everything, because how that one works. And the final question is, what type 5 fics do you want authors to finish / complete or rewrite because you knew they could be even better? Why? Number 1 is Deluge. No explanation, just Deluge is an amazing fan fiction. It's just, I have a feeling it's going to be complete sooner or later. It's just a matter of when the author finally does the finish the revamp, or whatever happened in her life and she's able to, finish it. I have no worries about that. Story number 2 is Bringing the Graduation to You. It's a Scooby-Doo fanfiction revolving around the Grimwood girls from Scooby-Doo and the Girls in the Ghoul School. I really love Ghoul School. It's actually my second favorite Scooby-Doo movie, behind Zombie Island, and I really love the Grimwood girls. So it's having a story that's centered around them, being teenagers, and then kind of being a weird, quirky take on a harem thing, with like Shaggy. It's like, ha. It's really, it has a lot of personality, and I really love what I read of it. It was just such a fun story that I don't know if the story's going to be complete, because I think the author is doing arcs, and the author is doing like some kind of thing where every time an arc's done, he's planning out the arc ahead of time and then starts uploading it bit by bit. So I think that one's going to be complete in the future. Story 3 is Mushroom Story. It's a Mario erotic story. It's probably one of the best, probably bar none the best erotic story I've ever read. Because it did something that I never thought an erotic story would ever do, is have a ton of personality. Basically, Mushroom Story is the events of Paper Mario, like the Nintendo 64 game Paper Mario, but all the enemies and all the characters are basically hot girls. That is literally the story. So basically, like, the plot is basically Bowser steals a Star Rod. He turns invincible. He beats the crap out of Mario and sends him flying from the castle. Now Mario has to save Star Spirits to be able to keep of hurting Bowser, and that's pretty much the plot. So the story is basically just the same plot, like Bowser or Bowser in this story, or Bowsette if you wanna go that route. Steals the Star Rod, kicks Mario's ass, and kidnaps Prince Peach. Sends them flying and said now Mario has to go and save the Star Spirits, and gets wrapped up in like sexual adventures. It has so much personality and so much charm. I didn't think that was possible. And it's just a magnificent example of how to do an erotic story right. Make it fun, make it flow free. Add so much characters and personality. It's so much fun. I know, like, at this time, the story is currently in Shy Guy's Toy Box, so officially the story is officially at the halfway point, because I think the story is halfway through the Shy Guy's Toy Box. I think, like, in the current, like, the latest chapter, Mario's getting chased by the anti-Shy Gal. Like I said, it has a lot of personality. Story number 4 is A Lazy Painter. It's a One Piece fan fiction centered around the events of the Alabasta arc. More specifically, in regards to a character named Miss Golden Week, who was a painter who basically painted these symbols and basically caused people to, like, react in certain emotions to stuff like that. I don't know if the story is ever going to be completed. It's very, very sad if the story will ever be completed. Because, I don't know, like, One Piece is weird. It does a lot of Peggy Sue type stories that always end because the story just, I don't know, happens to be way too long. Like, hey, we're gonna do a retread of an entire story that's still going on because they're in Wano right now. The Wano ain't done, and then we have probably the whole deal with Shanks and Blackbeard and Lord Imu and Akainu and Jewelry Bonnie. We stopped to figure out what the deal with Jewelry Bonnie is. But right now we're in Wano with all the samurai and Kaido turning into a dragon, and now we have the newest waifu, Ulti, who could turn into a Pachycephalosaurus, who likes to headbutt and is like, ha ha. And I took one look at Ulti and I thought Perona has some competition for top waifu in One Piece. I said it. Perona best waifu. Yeah. I don't know where I'm getting waifus from, but it's just, I like Perona. I love Ulti. They're just awesome. Final story. A story that I actually would like to see redone is Journey Through Light and Darkness, which is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan fiction. Now, this story is kind of weird in the fact that I actually have access to the story in whole, but I can't upload it. Otherwise, the author will literally come after me. So I literally promised the author when I did the review of that story, said, hey, if the story gets lots of views, like go check out that story just to give it a thumbs up and comments, so we can try and get this story back on the site. The story is really good. Like I do think, but the update thing should just be more quality. Like just fix something here and there. But I really want this story just simply to be re-uploaded and just talked about. Like because as someone who loves the card game Yu-Gi-Oh, I really, really love Yu-Gi-Oh. So. And a lot of the fan base for years had been non-stop asking Konami and said, hey, when are we going to get like any merchandise or stories or animation and stuff like that that's talking about the monsters? Why do we want to see the duels? We don't want to see the duels anymore. We want to see the actual monsters. And that extends to fan fiction because we never get any any fan fiction that centers around the monsters themselves. And so Journey Through Light and Darkness was so unique in that regard. Said, hey, here's a story about the dark magician girl going to save the world of dual monsters. I'm like, and I'm literally thumbs upping that idea. So I want to read it. I'm going to read it. And it's really cool. I just really want to see that story just be uploaded. I do have, like I said, I do have access. So if I wanted to, I can go read it again. But it's just, I just want to see that story just be re-uploaded. It would just make my day. So, as Lady Armister. So, the next one is from Chrome Regios. She wanted my thoughts on the ending of God of War, the PS4 God of War, and the Shadow of the Colossus. My thoughts on the God of War ending was, I thought that was a really well done ending, with Baldur finally, with Kratos trying to give Baldur the same lesson he was kind of forced to let go and stuff like that. And then Baldur kind of said no, and Kratos snapping the guy's neck, and then earning the wrath of his mother. I think her name is Freya. I thought it was kind of very thematically well done. I really like God of War. Shadow of the Colossus, on the other hand, I did not like that ending. I really didn't. Mainly because the whole idea of ambiguity. I can understand if a story's trying to be ambiguous and trying to be, trying to have it scattered for, so the people who are playing it trying to connect the dots themselves. Other games have done it better. Dark Souls was really well known, despite the fact it does have an actual backstory and all these lore stuff, but you have to go out of your way to get the breadcrumbs, and you still have to connect the dots. Like, you still have to do a lot of, okay, so this goes here, so it's still ambiguous on what exactly is going on, and it's up to the players to figure out the exact details of it. There was Journey. There was a lot of games are really known for being ambiguous. The Metroid Prime trilogy was kind of well known, especially in the first game. The first two games were very ambiguous in what was going on, unless you went out of your way to find the lore. Like I said, stuff like that. The problem with Shadow of the Colossus specifically was it was too ambiguous for its own good. So you're telling me the character you were playing as the entire game was a bad guy, but we didn't get any character development. We didn't get any sorts of scale outside of he wants to revive his girlfriend or wife or sister or something like that. And he has to kill these colossus and stuff, just go kill them, yada yada. And then this army of Vatican soldiers, they go and kill him, and then he gets possessed, and he starts killing, turns into a shadow, and then the horse shows up, and then the girl wakes up, and then the boy dies. It was just way too ambiguous for its own good. I think if they were doing some kind of sequel to this game or some kind of tie-in material, like a novel or a comic book or something, anything, I think I would have tolerated the ending as it was. But in essence, it was too ambiguous for its own good. Like, there is ambiguity done well, and then there's ambiguity not done well. And Shadow of the Colossus falls firmly in that latter. If we had something like every time you kill the Colossi, you get some kind of new info, or some kind of info on that specific Colossus, or some kind of background. You can still make it very vague and ambiguous. So it's still massively left up to interpretation, but literally having all the plot confined to the end cutscene was very, very weird, poorly done. It was very bad. So, the next question is, the Broadster Boy, would you perhaps consider loosening your rules on incomplete stories? No. Like I said, I'm very neurotic. I may do something like re-answering Lady Armister's question. I may do something with incomplete stories, something different, but I have to figure out how I'm going to do it exactly. So I don't know when that's going to happen. And the final 3 questions come from Firesight. So the first question is, what are your feelings towards adult fan fiction? What do you tend to look for a 1? So I don't know if you mean by adult fanfics. I'm gonna assume you mean more erotic stuff. So I'm actually going to spoil a little bit of Mushroom Story because I think, like I said, Mushroom Story is probably the best adult fanfiction out there that I've read. So basically, how Mushroom Story is structured is it is an erotic story. However, for the most part, the erotic parts are actually optional. How every chapter is structured, you get a certain part of the chapter. So, like, take let's do an example from the Koopa Brothers Fortress. In one of the chapters, Mario Goombaria, which is Goombario, Bombette, and the female Koopa, they go against these other Bob-ombs, and they're really, really tall Amazonian, big, gigantic-breasted bombshells. And in that story, the Bob-omb's whole shtick is their hair is actually their fuse, and they can actually light their fuse on fire. And when the act of exploding, when that fuse goes all the way to the end, actually gives them like massive strength for like a tiny bit. And so, Bombette actually, they actually start fighting the Bob-ombs. And like a big thing when it comes to the Bob-ombs is, the bigger the chest, actually the more strength they're able to generate. And people don't like, and Bombette doesn't like the fact that, I think like she has a big chest, but she's kind of insecure because she actually doesn't really like the big. If I remember, it's been a while since I read that specific chapter. I think Bombette's whole thing was, it's either she didn't like the fact she was pink, or she didn't like the fact that her chest was big. I can't remember which one. For all I know, it could be neither, and it could be something else. Or she's insecure about that she can't really confident stuff like that. I can't remember that exact detail. So, they actually start Bombette and one of the Bob-ombs start wrestling, and they fight, and then Bombette's fuse goes out, and she manages to get enough, and basically give her the adrenaline to get her the strength to just beat the crap out of Bob-ombs. And so the chapter keeps going on. At the end of the chapter, we're given a what-if scenario where the Bob-omb beats Bombette and says, well, I won, so Mario gets to come with us. And so Mario joins them there, and basically the Bob-ombs basically just do sexual stuff with Mario, and then Mario is forced to kind of live with them for the rest of their life, and Bowser technically wins. But it's very obvious where the start point of the what if. They're always presented as optional, so you don't require to read them. You can just skip them. But there are actual in-story erotic scenes. Like the first one was Twink, who is this like little knobby pixie, and Twink just gives Prince Peach a hand job, stuff like that. And the next one was at the end of the Koopa Brothers Fortress, where Mario, Goombaria, Bombette, and the Koopa, I still can't remember her name, they have a foursome, so that actually happens. It's all like, for the most part, it's what I tend. So that's an example of a good erotic fan fiction. How I feel towards them, I think it's one of those stereotypes that cause fan fiction to have a bad rep, like Mary Sue's, like the stereotype that most fan fiction authors are women. Granted, that one's kind of true. Sorry, that's just how it is. Like, 9 like over half the time, the author's going to be a woman. Just saying. I think adult fan fiction, specifically erotica, can work as well, like if it's done right. And what I look for is something that's not over the top. Like just like any other story, it depends on what you want to accomplish. Like with Mushroom Story, the reason I picked specifically Mushroom Story is while it is labeled as an erotic story, there's not really a lot of erotic chapters. Mushroom Story. I think there's something. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, there is currently 36 chapters in Mushroom Story. It is at this point a 262,000 word story. And it's only at the halfway point. It's only halfway done. Because they're still on Sky Guy's Toy Box. After the Toy Box, they gotta go to Yoshi Island. And then there's Yoshi's Island, there's Toy Boy, there's 4. Then they gotta go to Flower Field, and then the ice area. They fight the Crystal Queen, or I guess Queen, and then they finally go to go after Bowser. Canonically, I only read this to the very beginning of Mount Rugged, like chapter 2. I only read the epilogue, the prologue chapter, and the Koopa Brothers chapters. There's a total of only 3 actual sections: the scene between Twink and Peach, the foursome, and then a story between that where Goomba, and Mario they finally enter Toad Town, and then Goomba gets like very, very horny. Because of how the story is structured, like everyone kind of has extra. All the girls have like heat cycles, and if they don't learn how to control their heat, then they actually turn into complete uncontrollable women and will basically rape and kill men, just to get their heat because they're not thinking straight. What I want out of an adult fanfic is depending on what kind of story. If you're going for a full on uber naughty stuff, like something like the Who Rules series in FIM Fiction by Nam Cheval, then just go full ham. If it's a short story, make sure there's plenty of build up to the sex scene. Make sure the sex scene fits what you're going for and the characters, and then you leave a little bit afterwards. But if you're going for something longer, I do want at least some good character development. Make sure you make the most use of all the characters in the story. Make sure the sex scenes are at the right time. Don't probably the biggest complaint I would have about erotic stories is some erotic scenes drag out to way absurd levels, and it stops becoming entertaining from a tantalizing standpoint. It becomes very cringe. I know Firesight's not gonna like me for saying this, but the newest example, the most recent example I can think of a sex scene done very, very horribly is actually from his story, The Lawyer and the Unicorn. Those last 2 chapters with that big orgy. I'm sorry, that went on way too long. That was obscenely long, and it stopped being entertaining. It just started being boring and cringy, and it was just too long. It was too full long. It was nearly 20,000 words of sex. I'm sorry. Yes, sex scenes need to be a little longer, but that was just way too much. That was just way too much. Honestly, you could cut that thing in half and it'd be much better. But yeah, like I said, when it comes to what I look for, it just depends on how you're gonna present the erotic story in it. So, like I said, if you're going for like a real log story, make sure that there's not too many sex scenes congruent with what you're trying to pull. Make sure there's plenty of character development. Make sure the sex scenes are not too grouped together, so that way the author, what I want to look for is, like a rise and fall effect, like you see that, like a sex scene being like a wave, like you crest the top, and then you get the sex scene, and then you go back, and then you get a little time to know the character stuff, and then it repeats. That's what I honestly like to look for. But there's many different ways of doing it. Question number 2. Do you have an ideal length of what a story or chapter should be? Honestly, I don't really. It's just more how do you use that length of the story or the chapter to maximize what the story you're trying to pull. An example I have would be Monster Musume and Dullahan's Call. Both of them are Monster Musume stories. Let me see. Monster Musume. I think, yeah. Wait, there it is. Monster Musume they're both Monster Musume fan fictions. Monster Musume is 460,000 words. Dullahan's Call is only 5,000 words. Now you're thinking, well, the Yuri one, the one with the Monster Musume, would be better. No, I actually think Dullahan's Call is better because it did a better implementation of telling the story within its confines. Yeah, it was short, but it told a much concise, consecutive story in those 5,000 words than Monster Musume did in over 400,000 words. That's just my opinion. Everyone will have different thoughts and opinions on ideal lengths of stories and chapters and stuff like that. Everyone's going to be different in that regard. But I think as long as you use the amount of words to the best to tell the most concise story you can, then I think that would be good. Just don't overfluff it. Don't overextend. Don't add unnecessary fluff. If you add something unnecessary, try and at least make it work in the sense of the story. But just don't add random stuff for the sake of random stuff. Then it really starts to distract and make the story much worse. And the final question of the video. It's almost been an hour. What are things that are automatic turn-offs for you in a story, game, or video series? Now, I wanted to save this specific question for last. So think about it as happenstance. So there are many different things. Just like length, it's gonna be depending on person to person. Probably the most important thing I don't like in any video, any story, anything, is don't push your own personal politics. Like if you know from the channel from watching me, I am not a fan of politics. I despise politics. And I think nowadays with tons of these games, like the most recent example would possibly be Last of Us 2, where they decided to make everything about politics, and to the point it really ruined the character of Joel, it ruined the character of Ellie. Abby was kind of interesting in the whole theme of ending the cycle of revenge, but it was just executed so badly because you flanderized Joel and Ellie's character just to make her look sympathetic, but it didn't work. So, and that's any politics, whether it be Republican or Democratic politics. I don't particularly care. If you're going for something like House of Cards, which is supposed to be a political show, okay, fine, that makes sense. But having playing a story about a guy saves a girl. I'm just using this as an example. A guy saves a girl. They go and journey to the ice cream store. I'm literally just thinking the most basic thing. And on the way, they get into a snowball fight, and it's basically just a one big snowball simulator. You make snowballs and you throw it, and then all of a sudden, you have these people just randomly say, "Oh, this needs to be made political. This needs to be made about gender and race and stuff like that." I didn't want to hear that stupid stuff. I don't want to hear any of that. Because then you become obsessed with it and you constantly think everything is about politics. Everything has to be about politics to trump the other side, to beat the other side. I don't want to hear that. I just want to see good stories, good characters, good stuff like that. If the story is constantly getting destroyed because the director or someone on the writing thing, they want to add in their own personal politics, then here's an idea. Don't do that shit. Don't do any of that. Another thing, a turn off specifically in stories is actually MPreg. It's like this just a personal pet peeve. If I have to read an MPreg story, I will if enough people suggest it. It's fine, but it's just not for me. I don't like when. Another thing is I don't like it when you make one-dimensional characters unless that's the point. Like, there's another thing related to politics. Like, some people would literally only create characters, say, okay, here's a black character, but then you don't do anything. You just make it say, oh, it's a black guy. That's tokenism. That is actually racist. I'm not a political person, but even I can say that's kind of racist. If you're literally just putting a black guy in there, and just for the sake of being a black guy, like, make it natural. Like, I've played games and I read stories where there has been like very good written black people, like Deep Blue Sea. Just the first name I could think of. Who's like the star of the show, the chef, the black guy, because he's awesome. But that goes back to the whole politics, like. That'd probably be my biggest turnoff is just simply the idea of people just inserting politics, their own politics, into the story and trying to hammer home the whole idea. So, this is what I believe it, because if you read stories enough, like, and you know characters and development and stuff like that, you know that well enough, you can actually see this coming a mile away when you're forcing something onto someone. And it ruins the flow of the game, it ruins the flow of the story, it ruins the flow of anything. It's just really, really bad. And I know, some of my subscribers, some of my fellow readers, they're probably into politics. You do you. You like politics? That's fine. I care more about your actions. I care about you as a person. Since I live in America, let's talk about Donald Trump. Do I know who Donald Trump is? Yes, I know who he is. But if you ask me and said, okay, do you like or hate Donald Trump? I'll literally tell you, I never met him. How am I supposed to like or hate him if I never met the guy? And don't say anything about Facebook or Twitter, because Facebook and Twitter is just a persona. It's just an internet persona defined to get people to like or hate. That's why I also don't really like Twitter or Facebook, because that's just saying, here's what I hate. I'm an expert, so hate me. Yes, not. It's just nonsense to me. You want me to like or hate Trump? Then you better let him know. I said, hey, you come down to my house. You talk to me. I don't want to see you as Donald Trump the president. I want to see you as Donald Trump the guy, as just someone to talk to. You'll get the answer to that. Another turnoff is when it comes to a series is when you abandon the characters how they are in a way that doesn't seem natural. Going back to Last of Us 2 with Abby and Joel and Ellie, it's like the cast of that game deliberately ruined like all the characters that we kind of fell in love with from the first game just to fit what this game was going for in a way that didn't seem natural and didn't fit. And it came off as very cringy and hokey and stuff like that. I don't really like that. I just think it's just really bad. One final turn off is just it's just a general one. Mary Sue's. I don't like Mary Sue's. That is it. That's just any kind of Sue character. And coming from someone who does read, if you read, you probably know what Mary Sue's are. So that is my Q&A. I thank you for sending me my questions. And maybe in the future I'll do another Q&A. Who knows? And my family is arguing again. So this has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.